Acho, what's your reaction to what Doc said?
Watched it live last night. Tough to hear. And I think of this, Marcellus, because I've heard so many takes. So let me try to offer something that everyone can digest. I'll lead with the Ben Franklin quote. Justice will not be served until those who are unaffected are as outraged as those who are affected. Justice will not be served until those who are unaffected are as outraged as those who are affected. We think about so much going on right now. Black Lives Matter, logos on the court, changing the jersey. And we've heard the outcry. Is that the reason for viewership declining? But then I sat back, Marcellus, and I said, wait a second. 2009, the NFL started in October, Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Fields littered in pink, pink gloves, pink wristbands, pink towels, pink logos, pink embroidery across the jerseys. And no one had a problem with that, Marcellus. And the reason is because everybody has at one point in time or another been affected by cancer. Maybe not personally, maybe not a mother, maybe not a father, but a relative, maybe a friend, maybe a coach. Everybody can empathize with cancer because everybody has been affected by it. But not everybody has been affected by police brutality. Not everybody has been affected by racial discrimination. So it can begin to fall on deaf ears. So when I hear Doc Rivers, what I simply submit is those that are not affected at least try to understand, wait, what is truly going on? Don't be disdained by it. Don't be turned off by it. Because remember, when it happened in football with breast cancer, which wasn't necessarily a social issue, but was a health issue, which you understood, you weren't turned off by that matter. I'm also thinking of this when I hear about Doc Rivers' comments. Racism, it knows no political affiliation.
Yeah.
Racism, it has no affiliation except for hate. That's the only racism is affiliated with. So I was encouraged by Doc Rivers' comments, although I pay no mind to the affiliation of it all, but I really just beg and plead that people can empathize. Remember Marcellus, Deshaun Jackson, about a month ago, he tweeted a quote that was attributed to Hitler. And so many of my Jewish colleagues were outraged because people that look like you and people that look like me, black people, were seemingly silent. And I'll be honest, I looked around and I was like, man, it is pretty quiet from my brothers on Twitter. And I said, why is that, Marcellus? I had to ask myself, I said, why is that? And I realized it's because black people can't relate to anti-Semitism. So since black people can't necessarily relate, generally speaking, to anti-Semitism, they're a little more hesitant to speak because they can't relate. So what did I do right before the show, Marcellus? I called my friend Jeff Schwartz, Jewish former NFL offensive lineman. I said, Schwartz, I said, to a degree, I understand why there's such an uproar from the Jewish community, but you tell me why. Why were you so hurt by Deshaun Jackson's anti-Semitic comments? We talked for 10 minutes. And then I came on the show with you and I said, look, my brother, let's talk about it. But I first had the time and the education and the willingness to listen to it so we could have an educated dialogue. So when I hear Doc Rivers' comments, Marcellus, there might be a word I disagree with. There might be a sentence I disagree with. But I was willing to listen and can only encourage everybody else. Please listen to what is going on, what's being said, not just by Doc Rivers, but by other athletes and by other educated people, and then have that empathy to speak. Because again, in closing of this first thought, justice won't be served until those that are unaffected are as outraged as those that are.
You said a lot, man. You said a lot. It caught me off guard to watch my team. You know, I'm basking in glory and victory, the Clipper fan in me, and to see Doc Rivers. When he removed the mask, I was like, oh, something's about to go down. It's about to get real. And he was real. I am out of the lane and out of the mindset of dismissing anyone's experience because your experience is your expertise. I use my experience to help guide me, but I also map it on the reality. And more importantly, I always try to show total perspective and make sure I encompass all of the facets of my life. So let me start a little lighthearted as I like to do, and then I bring the pain. The levity of this is, I remember Drake and the Migos said, walk it like I talk it, walk it like I talk it. And I think they got it wrong because I think you really need to talk it like you walk it. Talk it like you walk it. Maybe not as good a song, but certainly I think more credible and it has a greater impact. America loves you, Doc Rivers. I don't know what you think love is because it's not perfection. It's not without its issues and ills. I'm in a loving relationship with my wife and a loving relationship with my kids. And it's not perfect. Not even every day do I look at it as a perfect situation, but I'm committed to it. And I know there's some highs and there's some lows, and the highs certainly outweigh the lows. So when I see this and in response to what we're talking about, another situation of police brutality, first thing that comes to my mind is the talk that I think a lot of black people wanted to trademark and saying that talk is only within the black borders. My talk was universal, and I think it is a talk that everyone should have. My dad told me a long time ago, he said, man, look, if you ever get pulled over by the police, the courtroom is not on the concrete. This is not a moment to prove who's right and who's wrong. This is not a moment that you should do anything but compliance, because whether you are right or whether you are wrong, you're in a situation where you will be the subject of pain unless you comply. Now, I know a lot of people take that and say, no, they were wrong too. I'm not talking about that. If they were truly in the wrong, it's better that you be sitting in the courtroom to sue them, to bring awareness to this situation, whatever it may be, versus your family sitting in that same courtroom with a wrongful death suit and you on their T-shirt. I would take it to this place that you said that Doc had a sentence offered to. I don't even want to break down necessarily the negatives or the ills of what Doc said. But I want people to understand that through my experience, which is my expertise, not every white person has privilege. I know a lot of struggling white people, to the tune of, I'm growing up in Compton, California, and my family in our house, we had two white people, Uncle John and Aunt Gloria, that we had to take care of that were former veterans, white people that I called my family members. This didn't hit me till like 2 months ago that, wow, I have a little different look on race in this world than it seems like a lot of people. And it's because I was introduced to it in a completely different dynamic. Not every white person has privilege. Though Uncle John, Aunt Gloria didn't have privilege. And not every black person has experienced racism or police brutality. You know why? Because I haven't. Now, people can say, oh, you're different, you're unique, you're a pro athlete. I'm talking about growing up age 0 to 18, Compton, California. So this takes me to something I want to talk about. And it's about the media, us, the media manipulation of our minds. I grew up 1974 to the 80s, Reaganomics, crack cocaine, gangbanging, Compton, South Central. And I remember everyone saying we need more positive imagery of black people. We need more of us to be shown than just this one slice, one layer. And let's go through this kind of lightheartedly. Sanford and Son and Good Times were the shows that I watched growing up at first. Sanford and Son, father and son relationship, but they in the junkyard of Watts. Good Times is a family, nuclear family in the projects in Chicago. And people were like, okay, that's good, it's a start, but we need more. And you need to show us in a better light. Like, we got some influence, we're growing. Then Different Strokes hit. Boom, now it's my favorite show because of the impact. Had the circular stairwell, everything.
And the theme song went hard.
Oh, it went hard. But here's the thing about it. This is what it did to me. It let me know, wow, just by displacing you, putting you in a different locale, changes your entire world. As we know, 2 black kids get adopted by a wealthy white family. But then I heard the pushback. Oh, why they gotta only live it good if it's because of white people? And then the show that came that changed the world, Black America for sure, The Cosby Show. Upper middle class, finally showing that, hey, we earned this and we're taking care of ours and we're kind of normal, but we're just upper middle class. And then that empowered so many other people in this world to look at it from that perspective, say, yes, 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 yes. And then the pushback came from that. Hey, we got some real wealth out there, not just upper middle class, not rich, wealthy. Fresh Prince of Bel-Air came. Real wealth earned, butlers, drivers, everything. And then you grab the guy from the neighborhood, put him in that position. Why did I go through this? Because the cycle repeated. It went back to the beginning. Same time Fresh Prince of Bel-Air is coming out, guess what the movies are doing? Let's go back to show more despair. Boys in the Hood. Oh, here we go again, showing only the pain, but it's a family perspective. The media and us, Doc Rivers, we have to be empowered and employed to show more layers of how we're living, how great it is. Let's sell more of the prosperity, more of the inspiration, not just the despair, because people back that we left and people that are in this situation dealing with this on the daily, they're sitting there needing that hope, bro.
So the first thing I agree with you wholeheartedly is that devastation sells far greater than good. And so you hit that nail on the head. Now, a couple things I do have to address, though. When Doc Rivers said that, they don't love us, I heard that and I digested that. And then I don't know if I can agree with you, Marcellus, in saying, Doc, America does love you. See, America loves what Doc Rivers can do for them. Doc Rivers can coach the Clippers. Doc Rivers can play in the NBA. Doc Rivers can sell tickets and win games, and we're all cheering. But I can say that, generally speaking, when Doc says America doesn't love us, I think he is generally speaking speaking of the historical context of us being black-skinned people. America doesn't love us. And then you say that, and I agree with you, that not all white people are privileged. But remember, privilege is that verb. So what's the noun or the adjective that precedes it, right? Is it white privilege? Because white privilege isn't saying your life hasn't been hard. It's just saying your skin color hasn't contributed to the difficulty of your life. See, you can have famous people privilege. I went to Chipotle just the other day. Hey, Emmanuel, love the show. You and Marcellus do great. This burrito's on me. You can have CEO privilege. See, by being the CEO, you can be granted immunity available to a particular person or group. See, that's all the privilege is. So I think when we're talking specifically about privilege, I'm not talking about privilege, because you're right. Privilege in and of itself is not descriptive enough. But that adjective or that noun that precedes privilege, I think that refers to what we're talking about. But when I heard Doc's comments, Marcellus, I did feel them. And again, I listen to and revere people like you because y'all lived life before me. So you had some experiences that you went through that I can't necessarily relate to. Doc Rivers has some experiences that he's gone through that you can't and I can't necessarily relate to. That's his expertise. And when you hear that man's heart, I just sit there and I listen. And I'm like, I get it. Now, you can't generally speak, because some people will jump off that bandwagon. How can you say America doesn't love you? You're getting paid $3 million. But strip that NBA coaching title, who do you have left? When they strip the title from you, then who are you? So it's tough to digest, and this is a heavy topic, but I think Doc Rivers hit the nail on the head when he said, man, I just want to be a coach. Because oftentimes, I just want to be an analyst. But before I'm an analyst, I'm a human being. And before I'm an analyst, I'm a black man. And oftentimes, you can escape being an analyst as soon as we take this suit off and walk off the lot. But you can't escape your skin color, and you can't escape your humanity.
I'm going to push back just quickly and say that Uncle John, a white war veteran, would have said the same thing. America doesn't love him. A man who sacrificed his life and found himself in his last years, no family around, going to his funeral, nothing but us as his family, all black people. It's not just a black problem. You strip away whatever it is, your contributions to society, whatever it is your way. I just think that it's universal, just as we started this by saying how racism is not just by political party, it's universal evil applied to others.